Hey guys, it's Gary here, and I'm just gonna be doing a quick little tier list of how good I think every single US president would be at Geometry Dash. I know I'm not gonna be political here. This is not gonna be politically biased at all, or any bias I have towards a president. Like, I may like a president, but that doesn't really matter. I'm basing it off of how good they would be at Geometry Dash. So, yeah. First things first, I think we all know Biden would not get a working device. Honestly, I don't really care where you stand on his politics, but like Geometry Dash, I don't think he would get a working device. It just makes sense for Biden. You guys know what I mean. Also, I think I'm going to be basing this off of when they were, of like how they were or their age during their presidency. So, you know, I don't really know much about the presidents in the afterlife, so it'd be kind of hard to base it off of whenever they died or whatever. But yeah, I'm just going to be basing it off of presidents during a presidency. So Joe Biden, I think, goes in a not working one. However, I do think his partner Obama, I think Obama would be extremely good at Geometry Dash if he played it. I think if he busted out Geometry Dash right now, he could be like deadlocked in a matter of like minutes. This dude, I think Obama would be goated at Geometry Dash. And I feel like you guys could agree with me. I think it's kind of obvious. I mean, look at Obama. I really think Obama would be the greatest of all time at Geometry Dash in terms of the US president. I don't know, there's just something about him that screams he would be good at Geometry Dash. Let's see. Who else do I think? What other presidents do I think would stand? Trump. Eh. I don't think he'd be terrible at Geometry Dash, but I don't think he'd be that good. I think he would complain every time he died, so it wouldn't really help. But, I don't think he would be the worst at Geometry Dash. I think he could be like Stereo Madness, maybe. Or maybe Retray. But other than that, I don't think President Trump here would do so great in Geometry Dash. Um, Ronald Reagan. Uh, I also don't think he'd be that good at Geometry Dash, low key. Uh, I'm also gonna put him with. I'm gonna put him a little above Trump, but I also don't think he'd be good at Geometry Dash. Um, I think that Theodore Roosevelt would actually be kind of good at Geometry Dash. Not gonna lie, I think that Theodore Roosevelt would have like. I think he would be really good at like ship gameplay. I don't know why. There's something about him that makes me think that he would be really good at playing like ship gameplay, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'd put Theodore Roosevelt comfortably right there. Um, and then Bill Clinton, I think, also would be pretty good at Geometry Dash. Maybe not as good as Theodore Roosevelt, but I don't know. I think Clinton during his presidency, I think like if he got out Geometry Dash, he'd be pretty good at it. I think he'd be like all around a good player, not specific to one game mode. I think that like he'd be pretty good, to be honest. Um, I also think JFK would be pretty good. I put him a little above Lincoln. I think Lincoln and not Lincoln, Clinton. I think Clinton and JFK would be like around the same for Geometry Dash skill. I think both would be able to beat some pretty hard levels for an adult like president like these people. But yeah, I think these two would be fairly good at Geometry Dash. I also think Ulysses S. Grant, there's just something about him that I feel like he'd actually be pretty good at Geometry Dash. I don't know why. I just think that like Ulysses S. Grant would just be good at Geometry Dash because I think he like would understand how to play the game quickly. I don't know. There's just something about it. And then I haven't really talked about a B or C tier. I think a C tier president would be George W. Bush at Geometry Dash. I think that like he would understand like the basics, but that's about it. Like he'd be good at like simple cube ship gameplay, but other than that, I don't think he'd be like incredible at Geometry Dash, but I think he'd be good at like the very basics. Um, let's see. I think Franklin Pierce would actually be kind of good at Geometry Dash, not gonna lie. There's just something. There's like I know he won't be like good as like the ones up here, but like I think he wouldn't be terrible if you know what I mean. I don't think Franklin Pierce would be that bad at Geometry Dash if he played it during the time of the 1800s. But yeah, Um, let's see. Oh, Richard Nixon would definitely. He would definitely like. I feel like he would be like the Space UK. I feel like he'd be like Space UK, good at Geometry Dash, but then like cheats instead of actually trying to be good. I think Nixon goes on top of A because like I think he would cheat the really hard levels, but he's still like good at Geometry Dash. He's just like cheating, even though he can already play it for some reason. You know what I mean? Um, I think that who's a president that I think James Monroe is also in B tier. I think he goes a little above Pierce. Um, I think both of them would be like all right at Geometry Dash. You know what I mean? I don't know. James Monroe I think goes right there. Uh, let's see. Who do I think is F tier? Who would not be good at Geometry Dash here? Hmm. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, Lyndon Johnson would be terrible. Lyndon B. Johnson, I don't think would be good at Geometry Dash at all. I just don't think he'd understand the game. I don't think he'd understand what's going on. Lyndon Johnson, I don't think would be a great Geometry Dash player at all. Same with George H.W. Bush. I think he'd be a little better than Johnson, but I don't think he'd be that great still. Like he wouldn't be good actually. Both of these would probably be confused on like a retray and wouldn't be able to beat it. So yeah, I think these two go in F tier. Um, I think that I would put. Let's see. I low-key think George Washington would be kind of good at Geometry Dash. Like maybe not as great as these guys, but I do think that George Washington could do good at Geometry Dash. Like he just has to put his heart into it. I think he could get some of the easier levels done, like Can't Let Go. I do think he'd be like above the average president in terms of skill for Geometry Dash. But yeah, I think George Washington comfortably goes right there. Um, let's see. William Henry Harrison would be terrible at Geometry Dash. He just wouldn't live that long. He wouldn't he just wouldn't be good at Geometry Dash. I don't think he'd have like a fundamental understanding of what is even going on. Um, I don't have that many C tiers. Who else would be in C tier? Hmm. Let's see. Let's see. I think William Howard Taft. I don't think he's C. I think he'd go like at the top of D tier. I don't think William Howard Taft would be like the worst at Geometry Dash, but I also don't think he'd be very good. He'd be around like right here. I think that FDR wouldn't be that good at Geometry Dash too. Under Taft, but above Reagan in terms of Geometry Dash skill. I think that like Chester Arthur would not be good at Geometry Dash at all. I just feel like he's the type of president to just not want to learn the game at all. Like quit after one death in Stereo Madness. Yeah. I think that Herbert Hoover, actually, I think he would go in C tier. I don't think he'd be terrible at Geometry Dash, but I also don't think he'd be that good. Just like Bush, I think they'd both be like all right, like an average for a president. I think Jimmy Carter during his presidency would be amazing at Geometry Dash, actually. He was like younger, I think, and yeah, I think he would be really. There's something about Jimmy Carter that I think he would be a really good Geometry Dash player for some reason. I also think Warren Harding would be a good Geometry Dash player for some reason. I think that like he had, I don't know. I feel like he'd be the type of guy to get someone to help him play Geometry Dash and like learn the game. I don't know. That's what I think. Abe Lincoln, I think bottom of A tier. I think he'd like be able to learn it pretty quickly, but not be like great at it. I think he'd be a good A tier spot. I think that like, let's see. Millard Fillmore would not be that great at Geometry Dash. I feel like he'd be like Trump and just complain about the game. I don't know. There's just something about his aura that he would just complain about the game. Martin Van Buren would definitely not be good at Geometry Dash. He just strikes me as the guy that would be awful at it. Same with John Quincy Adams. Both of these guys would be equally as terrible at Geometry Dash. So, you know, Thomas Jefferson wouldn't be that good either. I think I'd put him like right here for Geometry Dash skill. Um, I don't think he'd be like bottom, but I think he wouldn't like the game very much, to be honest. John Adams, I think, would try to be better than Jefferson at the game, so he gets like a little spot above. Like I think he'd try his hardest just to beat Jefferson and then stop there. Like he'd be like, okay, I'm good. James Madison is short, and I think short people would be pretty good at Geometry Dash, not gonna lie. This is like the shortest president, so I feel like there's just something about that that makes him a really good Geometry Dash player. Um, Rutherford Hayes. He actually just seems like a middle ground for like Geometry Dash players, for President Geometry Dash players. I feel like he wouldn't like he just feels like average, you know what I mean, for Geometry Dash. There's just something about him. Um, John Tyler. Where would John Tyler go? Eh. I think he and Pierce would actually have like a similar skill level in Geometry Dash, not gonna lie. Um, I don't think Jackson would have the patience to play Geometry Dash. His mindset in Geometry Dash would be terrible. I think he'd go like right here. Um, Johnson, I think, I actually don't think he'd be that bad at Geometry Dash, not gonna lie. Um, I'd put him like around here in terms of Geometry Dash skill. Benjamin Harrison, I think would be a lot better than his grandfather and perform around like this level. You know what I mean? I think he'd go right here. Andrew Garfield, I think, would actually. I heard he was like a really smart guy, so I think he'd learn the game pretty quickly and like be able to understand what's going on pretty well and be able to like get timings correctly. I actually think Andrew Garfield would like maybe be S tier. I think he'd be like right here because I heard he's like really smart. Um, Zachary Taylor, I don't know. He just doesn't look like a guy who would. He gives the same like he strikes me the same as Martin Van Buren, where neither of them would be good at Geometry Dash at all. Um, Grover Cleveland, I also don't think would be that good. Um, oh, I think he'd be around Chester Arthur's level. James Buchanan, I think he'd be like a good I think he'd be around like these guys' levels. Like I think he'd be the worst out of all of them, but I still think he'd be like B tier level. Calvin Coolidge, I heard he was a pretty quiet guy, so quiet people are pretty good at Geometry Dash because they like to focus on the game. So I personally put him right here. William McKinley, I don't think would be good at Geometry Dash. I don't know. He just doesn't seem like the guy who would be good at Geometry Dash. Woodrow Wilson, I don't think he'd be great at Geometry Dash either. He just doesn't seem that good at Geometry Dash. Harry Truman, I think he'd be alright. I think he'd be alright. Um, James Polk, I think actually would be around this level too. I think he'd be around Monroe's level in terms of Geometry Dash skill. Um, Gerald Ford, I feel like there's something to him that he might be able to be good at Geometry Dash. But I think he'd go right there. And then Dwight D. Eisenhower, I think he'd be around like this level. But yeah, this is how I think the presidents, how good the presidents would be at Geometry Dash. Comment down below what your opinions are about how good a president would be at Geometry Dash, and thanks for watching.